Left of the box. Under the Liberal government, credit where credit is due type thing, there has been some means-tested milquetoast things put in place that have helped people. And I don't knock the fact that it has helped people. And part of that is some dental care for some people and national child care. So that's the $10 a day child care. Who in their right-wing mind thinks the conservatives are going to keep these if they get into power? And the hints are already there. And so, in a way, for CTV News to mention that they were calling for a motion of non-confidence and it's somehow tied to dental care, in essence, that's more truthful than the axe the tax that Pierre Poilievre was claiming. Because Pierre Poilievre wants to keep that a catchphrase that it's all about axe the tax, when we know he's not going to do that when he gets in power. However, he will axe the dental care. And so inadvertently, CTV News was actually right on the money by giving the impression of that, which they didn't do. But here was, somebody tweeted this out, so you don't need a party platform to have a positions on these basic programs. Just a clip from Andrew Scheer here, who's part of the Conservative government right now. Let's see what he has to say after being questioned on this.
National child care, national pharmacare, national dental care. Are those on the chopping block if your party becomes government?
I know that there's a lot of interest in what the Conservative platform might look like. We're still a long way away from that, it seems, because of decisions of the NDP and Liberal.
That was a yes or no question. Are these programs on the chopping block? Well, we don't yet know. It's so long. We still have to make a platform. And look at this guy's face. Like, again, he just has the look of like, tee hee hee, yeah, we're totally going to do it. But we're not telling you. It's going to be a surprise. Just wait till we're in power and we totally chop them off the block. It's just so disingenuous that they aren't outright just stating it because they know it wouldn't be popular. They know Canadians benefit from this and would appreciate keeping it.
I know that there's a lot of interest in what the Conservative platform might look like. We're still a long way away from that, it seems, because of decisions of the NDP and Liberal and Bloc to keep the Liberals in power. We will have a comprehensive platform that will show Canadians exactly where we are going to get back to balanced budgets. And I just point out that when previous Conservative governments have been in power, if we look back to the previous Conservative government, we were able to provide tax relief, we were able to eliminate all kinds of government waste, and we were able to strengthen core services. Healthcare transfers under the previous Conservative government went up every single year that we were in office, and so Canadians can have confidence that core services will be protected as we eliminate wasteful and inflationary liberal waste.
Just the audacity of how much they lie. You can go back and look at the previous Conservative government and what happens under Conservatives, federally and provincially. The debts explode. They absolutely explode. And those core services they're going to protect absolutely get cut. And then that money gets driven towards private sector things. Like, just the sheer audacity of how much they lie. But then also just I don't want to be rude to the people who vote for them. But how ignorant do you have to be of what your life is showing you? Like, just go back. Like, in Ontario, look at your taxes. Have they gone down since Doug Ford has been in power? Has your access to health care increased since he's been in power? How has your quality of life improved since Doug Ford has been in power? And they want to do this on a federal level. Like, whenever Conservatives are in power, the budgets explode, and then the Liberals have to spend all of their time just kind of, getting the debt back under control. And by the time they do that, then there's that switch around that happens, and the Conservatives get back in power, and the debt explodes again. And it's a terrible cycle that really prevents this country from moving ahead. But just the fact that they're allowed to lie like that, to not answer the question and to lie like that. And where's the pushback? You need the pushback in the moment so that when you get those occasional low information voters that stumble across watching this, they see the pushback in the moment. Because if they don't push back in the moment, that low information voter isn't going to see the pushback. They're not going to know the actual facts. And so here is another clip from Question Period. It's a little tag team from NDP and the Liberals talking about PP, which is Pierre Poilievre. So let's watch this. It was some more Question Period shenanigans.
Speaker, this is such an important morning, a chance for all Canadians to see parliamentarians stand up and vote non-confidence in the man who leads all those stunts from Stornoway. And I'm considering that the reason he's running ahead of this is because of his axe the tax claims. John Ivinson, a good Pierre Poilievre Conservative supporter, interviewed Ken Bousenschool, a former Harper aide, who said, listen, there's a huge gap between what Conservatives say and what Conservatives do. I hate to admit it, but Jason Kenney ran axe the tax and then beefed up the industrial carbon tax in Alberta. Danielle Smith ran to axe the tax, and she beefed up the industrial carbon tax to $170 a ton.
So this is Charlie Angus, an MP, NDP MP, stating what I just said. Like, you can go back and look at exactly what these Conservative governments did and see that they did the exact opposite of what they were promising. And yet people still vote for them over and over again. Like, it makes no logical sense. Because, maybe that's why you don't get much growth on the left, because we actually hold our leaders to account. So when they blatantly lie to us, we get upset. Whereas the Conservatives are able to cement their support and their positions in the government because they never hold their leaders to account. So the same people get to keep in those positions of power and push through what they want. It's just ridiculous. And so, yeah, Charlie Angus was talking about, because Pierre Poilievre was trying to put through in their motion of non-confidence, and he's going to do it again and again. And every time it's just going to be embarrassing, because I don't see the NDP and the Bloc Québécois voting with the Conservatives anytime in the near future for a motion of non-confidence, because the Conservative needs both of those parties in full to vote with them for a motion of non-confidence in order for it to go through. And I don't see that happening in the near future. Chances are what will happen is in the spring sometime, Justin Trudeau will just call for an election.
And Bousenschool says there is no way that the member for Stornoway is going to axe the tax. He's just going to continue to scare people, to frighten people, to divide people, and then he's going to carry on with the policies as per usual.
Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't always agree with my honourable colleague from Timmins, James Bay, but I think he hit the nail on the head right now, in the sense that it's just clear that the Leader of the Opposition runs on slogans. He likes to play political stunts. Today is just that. And in fact, I think his point about this is more a vote in non-confidence on the Leader of the Opposition than it is on anything else is a cogent one. But the point of the matter is that he's just not telling the whole truth to Canadians. And that is something that we have seen with him time and time again. And it's something that we're seeing today clearly on display.
So just so you guys catch the little wordplay that she did, she didn't call him a liar, which is why she's not getting called out by the Speaker of the House. She just said he's not telling Canadians the whole truth, which is just a little bit of wordplay there of her saying he's lying, but without saying he's lying. Because if she were to say that he's being dishonest, that he's lying, then the Speaker of the House would be getting mad at her and chastising her right now.
He just can't tell the whole truth. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
And so, again, just what to expect if the Conservatives get into power. And she was speaking again because when it comes to the choice to choose what happens to your body, it's going to be in severe jeopardy should the Conservatives get into power federally. Because, like, legally speaking, Canada has some of the most liberal laws when it comes to abortion in the world. It doesn't mean you can't find workarounds, and the provinces do a very good job of that when they're conservatively run. So, like in New Brunswick, there are no clinics where you can get an abortion. None. So you have to travel out of province. If you do that, then the universal health care we have doesn't necessarily translate. So, like, if I wanted to go out of province to get a treatment, those treatments actually have to be approved ahead of time, that it is within the frame of the universal health care. But, like, if I'm sick and I'm in another province, then I just go to the walk-in clinic. Generally speaking, I'm covered. But if you require an abortion and go out of province, that won't be covered. So it'll be out of pocket. And, you know, sometimes, like, what the provinces do is they also get rid of their clinics. They make the clinics more inaccessible. They have deadlines as to how long, you know, after 24 and a half weeks or something like that, they'll no longer provide abortions and all this sort of stuff, making it harder and harder and harder to get that abortion. But it's legal. You know, it's legal to do that if you can find a place that will do that, if it's accessible. It's totally legal, just not accessible. And that is a real, real danger should the Conservatives get into power. And so here's Karina Gold, I think her name was, just pointing this out again in question period.
Speaking out of turn. The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons from the top, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll tell you what freedom doesn't look like, and it's Conservative members of Parliament taking all expensive paid trips to talk at anti-abortion conferences and to push forward an anti-abortion vision of Canada. Mr. Speaker, when he talks about women's rights, he neglects to share his hidden agenda that would take away their reproductive rights. Mr. Speaker, when he talks about freedom, he only talks about half of the story. Mr. Speaker, today what we are doing is demonstrating that this House does not have confidence in the leader of the Conservative Party.
So Pierre Poilievre will always say, like, they're very two-faced, a lot of the Conservatives. They'll always say, oh yeah, we'll protect people's rights. But then they won't say anything when members of Parliament, or on provincial levels, the members of Parliament, like Conservatives, go to conferences, have talks with some of the most religious right-wing bigots out there, people who want to take away a person's right to choose what happens to their body. And in Ontario, there's one very troublesome MPP in particular, Sam Ouzerhoff, I think it is. He is just like a religious zealot through and through, and desperately wants to strip away a person's right to choose what happens to their body. And I don't think, again, most Canadians aren't plugged into what's happening in our politics, and they try to be quiet about it, the Conservatives. So they go to their conferences, they go to their rallies, but they try to keep it under the radar because they know it's not popular. They know the general population wouldn't approve of this, and so they try to keep a little mum on it.